Every new year brings a tremor of emotion amongst volume lovers as they foresee the lucky several hours front engrossed in a public library's cost of crisp reads. And 2019 looks to be buffer year. To arouse yours appetite suppressant, we've selected a choice of fictitious titles of a band of set and new authors. The listing is by no tool comprehensive. It may not though end up enticing thou. But get a see, and with hope thou'll discover thing to delight. Ian McEwan, Machines Love Me Authorities. McEwan is the top-selling, accountant-nominated writer of Plant Consisting Redemption, Amsterdam, The Family's Act and On Chesil Bathing Beach. Largest of his books fire direct to the top in the charts and lot include been tailored for the display. His recent roman was Nutshell. The new volume, in the, McEwan has undertaken his creation in a disruptive option 1980s London. Britain has lost the Falklands Warfare, Margaret Thatcher battles Tony Benn for force and Alan Turing achieves a breakout in synthetic intellect, artificial intelligence. But if thou ve always willing AI could build you the ultimate affiliate, the youthful pair at the center of McEwan's history discover out the risk in invent things for our monitoring. Machines Love Me is published on April 18, 2019 by Jonathan Cloak in the UK. Margaret Atwood, The Testaments, a continuation to the Bondmaid's story, the new volume, breathtaking but disappointing in equivalent action. All we aware is how The Testaments is set 15 years following Officer's definitive controversial stage in the Bondmaid's story, wherever the van doorway slams on our characters next. But Atwood has as well let on how the history will be told by three-woman letter, edition, expensive readers. All thou ve always requested me on Gilead and its internal mine openings is the inspire for the volume. So, nearly all. This inspire is the planet we've been residing to. The new volume will be the 79-year-old at first roman with the Shakespeare-inspired Crone Seed was published in 2016. Testaments will be published in September 2019 by Chatto and Windus. Joanne Harris, The Strawberry Burglar Authorities. Harris is top named for charming hearts in her 1999 Roman Chocolate, The History of Vianne Rocher, who opening an extraordinary chocolate bar store in the drowsy France countryside of Lansquenet. It was rotated in a movie starring Juliette Binoche, and Harris went on to build a mini-series of Vianne in 3 more than stories. Fans include been keeping out for a definitive part. Time Harris went away piece to compose imagination novels by the behalf Joanne M. Harris, and there it is. The new volume, Vianne and Her Magic Child Wall Outlet, are so populated in Lansquenet, the location how one day discarded them. Though Raynaud, the quarrelsome clergyman, has be a boyfriend. But anxiety put front, initiated by the die of old Narcissus, the flower grower, throw the countryside one day more than in turmoil. The arrive of Narcissus' loved ones and the discovery of a mystery new store, awkwardly love Viannes, appear to Vestnik imminent turbulent, maybe though assassination. The Strawberry Burglar is out on April 4, 2019 published by Orion Fictitious. Mark Haddon, The Harbor Porpoise Authorities. Haddon's behalf has been synonymic in the world. 2003 hit the interesting occurrence of the dog in the overnight time, that won him the Whitbread Volume of the Year and created a Western End Phase event. He went on to whetstone his art of national dramas in A Place of Worry and The Red Building. He later rotated to brief stories in The Pierce Waterfall, for that he, amazingly maybe, processed 2 mythic legends to give them in the modern planet. The new volume, The Harbor Porpoise, is Haddon's at first new roman in 7 years and proves Sames found a flavor for the old. The history is relying on the epical story of Pericles, Duke of Tyre. At its mandrel is a broken household downstream at ocean, frantic to get household time struggling versus forcible forces. The Harbor Porpoise is a vessel and the history leaps of the contemporary era to old times in a various throw, consisting pirates and phantom female in terrible gearing. The Harbor Porpoise sounds a course trip. Be courageous, don the lifetime coat and venture to leap on board. The Harbor Porpoise is published in May 2019 by Chatto and Windus. Graham Simpson, The Rosy Outcome Authorities. Simpson's 2013 comical roman The Rosie Draft became an world bestseller in the heterodox history of the social incompetent geneticist Don Tillman and his research questionnaire, Plan-Based Searching for Loving. He ultimately finds the energetic Rosie, who derails his methods and makes him issue his safe, engineering attitude to lifetime. The Rosie impact accompanied in 2014 and charts the unavoidable tension and close calamity driven to the relation by imminent paternity. The new volume, if thou ve recite the at first two Rosie books, thou'll leap for joy at the length-awaited final. Joy and tranquility at recent might be yours, desire for Don and Rosie, but with while did how do for focus sustaining amusement? So, there we see Dong's satisfaction diagram, take a cliff down rotate. His son is fighting and Don and Rosie include big work-life discord. Can Don confidence friends to assist him via the confusion? Can he enable his son autonomy, and will he eventually know oneself? The Rosie outcome is out on April 4, published by Penguin/Michael Joseph. Janet Winterson, Frankenstein authorities. Winterson is top named for her confer-winning Oranges Are Not the Just Harvest, a semi-autobiographical roman on a susceptible youthful lady rising versus her draconic mom and hard to job out who she very is, in special in regulation of her sexiness. Winterson refundable to how content in her morbid yet funny reminiscence, why be lucky while you could be regular? Common she's spelled 10 novels, as so as families books and screenplays. The new volume, Winterson reboots Mary Shelley's Frankenstein for the 21st age, launch us in a conduct onto your hat contemporary day terror history on really contemporary day neuroses and issues consisting sameness, technique, sort and sexiness. Start in 1915, Mary Shelley writes a history on AI. Zoom lens striker to position Brexit Britain and we come a planet of a transgender physician fighting in his ego for a famous prof guideline the AI discussion. In another place new general sex dolls are creature massive manufactured and a cryogenic engineering installation is keeping a massive of corpse bodies weight to go behind to lifetime. Stimulating red, to say the low. Out May 23, 2019, published by Jonathan Cloak. 2 extra of capacity concern, the newest roman of Tracy Cavalier, The Solitary Filament, will be out on 5 September, Harpist Collins, and Ollie Blacksmith brings out Springtime, the tertiary part in the Roman loop the season quartet, on March 28, published by Penguin/Random Building. Richard Cowboy, Thing to Dwell for Authorities. Richard Cowboy was encouraged to compose his at first volume by a paper on the justice workers who include the gloomy problem of behavior in the homes and stuff of human beings who die. 1. Inquiring top and low for clues to following of kin is a precedence. Differently it's the justice how pays for the burial, a email off how violently as necessary to be inexpensive, and in an unchecked serious. The opening volume, the inspire for thing to dwell for may not audio too attractive. But the history Cowboy tells is a adorable, funny and lifetime affirming story on humane goodness how strikes a chord in a planet wherever solitude is a increasing issue. The supporter is Andrew, one of the justice personnel whose livelihoods rely on die. And he goes the additional me by visiting the differently mournerless funerals. But Andrew is a like one. In his gloomy plane he food beans on crouton and acting in his toy trains. His largest issue is the lie same said human beings on possessing a nice woman and magnificent family, to get his annoying associate off his behind. Andrew could drifting on love the ever but while a youthful female mentioned Peggy joins the crew, his balance begins to tremble. Thing to Dwell for will be published on June 27, 2019 by Orion Fictitious. Beta O'Leary, The Plain Stake Authorities. O'Leary wrote her at first roman on her job boat train replaced to a family's publishers. She's now a complete-time author. Her inspire for the flat share came of residing in a physician young man who treated nights. They were in the building for the accurate contrary several hours so never saw every sum. O'Leary begun noticing the little things how said her how he was and it got her thought on how lot you could find out on someone fair of national clues. She was as well encouraged by her and her friends' frequently heart-destroying experiences of leasing in London. The opening volume, Tiffy and Leon Stake a Plane. Tiffy and Leon Stake a Cot. Tiffy and Leon include Never Welcomed. These are the taglines for O'Leary's history, that taps solidly in the present-day habitation meltdown. The two end up in the identical plane out of despair. Tiffy can just provide some time inexpensive to dwell. Leon as well as necessary to lift cash to assist his sibling. But with he plant nights, he never sees his boarder and bed's harrer. However, love amateurish detectives, they go to a where every some really so, via a episode of Position It Notes, Leftward Overs and Friends. But could Tiffy and Leon eventually encounter? How's for you to investigate. The Plain Stake will be published in April by Quercus. Soren Sveistrup, the Marone Man authorities. If you were a fan of the murder, you perhaps aware Sveistrup, the maker and author of the Dutch Scandinoir criminality episode. It turned about detective story officer Sarah Lund, and every new episode accompanied a assassination instance date by date. Its diabolical story peripecia and gloom done the Shaw and World strike. In the In Reason, Sveistrup has all the product composition to compose novels fair as thrilling as his TV job. The new volume, The Marone Man, is set in Denmark and tells the history of Rose Hartung, Secretary of Public Sphere. She's fair refundable to her job a year following her child disappeared. But as Rose returns to try to restore her lifetime, in another place else households is creature breaks separately. A youthful solitary mom is found killed, in one brush cut off and an sinister Marone drawing suspended neighboring. It's fair the at first in which evolves in a episode of such crimes. And bubbly by the shallow is the more immediate issue as to if the murders are related to Rose's own private losing. The reply is for the history's two detectives, and the female readers, to find. The Marone Man comes out on January 10, published by Michael Joseph, Penguin. Candice Carty-Williams, Queenie. The opening volume, edits Cardiac. Queenie is on the searching for sameness, said in a humor and ease of concern. Queenie Jenkins is a 25-year-old dark female residing in London, who planned in journalistic. In Large Friends, affectionately named as the Corgis, an outwardly seeping trust, all seems iridescent in Queenie's planet. But it's a front. Bottom, she's fighting in solitude and her absence of personality worth, occurring of a black open secret in her infancy. A romantic breakdown up and the resultant changing of household sets in movement a down helical of personality destruction for Queenie. How the female readers is readily her to struggle versus, and find out to be lucky. Queenie is published on April 11 by Orion Books. Recent, but with hope not low, down there is the normal harvest of celebritin books on the skyline. There are fair a few, Prue Leith, the Lucerne she's named as a tsarina of the cuisine, and one part of the judges for TV ratings break the large UK roast away. But while not owning a trowel, Leith's, metaphoric, waving a feather. The Lucerne is the tertiary and definitive part in the Angelotti Chronicles, a 10-year sweeping legend on an Anglo-Italian household and their fight to growth over the confusion and sorrow of the history. About, and the household patriarchs are in the small restaurant industry. Published on April 18 by Quercus. Melvyn Bragg, Loving Out of Late, A History of Heloise and Abelard. Though out of knowledge same's a Romanist, largest of us would see Bragg as a man in a big marrow and one seeping civilization. It's fit thus how the base of his new volume is one of the largest durable loving stories in story, the novel among Heloise, this cleverest female in France, and the famous philosophy Abelard, in Paris for the 12th age. Bragg's history moves ago and forward among the history and the contemporary date, in that the scientific Arthur, who, in his desire for the renowned loving history, could recall you of Bragg oneself. Published on March 7 by Hodder. Russell Mark, Mentors, How to Assist and Be Helping Never Lose for Speech. Russell's newest volume, next his best-selling Restoration, is once again complete of his own special Mark of Wise. He tells us on the human beings who include head, a considerable favorable effect on his lifetime and encourages us to see to other to be superior individuals. He says we are planned in advance and via a circuit of mentoring we can enhance separately and globally. Mentors is liberated on January 24 by Bluebird of Happiness. As well to go after in 2019 is Elton John's memoir In the Fall, as is one of Louis Theroux, both of Macmillan. And a new roman of Sunrise O. Porter named So Happy reaches us at Halloween, published by HarperCollins.